nervous?
No.
Where's your answer?
Dennis Beckham, let the ball on! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Oh!
Oh, no! Oh, yes! He missed it!
Welcome to the Suffering from Joy podcast. My name's Devin. A little bit of a weird one this week. A lot of people on vacation for the games, so we're doing a little bit of a clip episode. Seth sent in a live clip from Montreal. Brad sent in some thoughts, but we're going to kind of jump into it with me leading off here. Disappointing, obviously. I think we were lucky. It was only a 1-goal loss, and this continued the trend of us being complete ass after that Houston decision that Pro eventually apologized for. But these are the kind of moments that if you're a decent team or a good team, you stand up and, you may drop points or you may lose a game or something. That's fine. But we don't look like we want to be out there. We don't look like we're hustling. We're not trying. Everything's kind of soft and preseason-y, and it's pretty not a good time of year for that. I know Phil West put a great article out about tracking our August, September, October, and that one time November for a while. But, I've seen some hints that it was like heat or training issues or something. But, we're in Montreal in August. It's not that hot. I don't think that's an excuse on this one. It really shouldn't be on others. But, I don't know. We talked about leading up to this stretch, how we had kind of an easy set of games we needed to capitalize. That's 2 points out of what we really needed was 9. 7 probably would have been fine. Even 5, okay. But, coming out of here with 2 points out of what's 3 very winnable games is not looking good. Again, I'm laying most of this on Nico. We didn't have a ton of nice things to say about him when he was hired. He had, has some fresh air about him that, in the post-Wolf era looked nice. He's better at man managing. He's not exactly like a Dr. Sharon sports psychologist or anything, but, he's better than Josh Wolf at that. And he's, more interactive with fans. He's a little more honest in his, post-game press conferences. Fine. That only takes you so far. You still have to, actually do the job on the field, which is what we were always worried about. And it looks like we've regressed pretty severely in the past few weeks. Owen still looks good. Buka still looks good. I don't know what the fuck happened to Sabovich, but he's completely off the radar. No Danny in this game, serving his annual Katie McCabe yellow card vacation. So the midfield wasn't ideal. One little tactical note I liked. Uzuni, I didn't think was having a great game. We took off Rubio and we pulled Uzuni back into kind of like a reserve striker-y, tennis-y more role. And I thought that suited him a little bit, but it kind of begs the question why that wasn't really coming off when we still had Vasquez on the field. Maybe we need to, do this kind of formation flip and still have Owen out on the left, and maybe we can actually get that to work when we come back. But overall, this is a terrible game. Every single goal we gave up was preventable. Obviously, the Dessler one's a little bit of bad luck, but, that's a clear penalty. You can't have your arm out there like that and try to kind of like trap the ball. At that point, the game's effectively over. We get one back. But, to me, I don't know if we ever felt like we were going to tie this up. And if we did, it seemed like Montreal was going to score again. So I don't think we ever had a shot in this game. We have what we always on this show like to call a rivalry game against San Jose coming up. Home game, hopefully they can find some fight and bring some fire back to this, because, we talk about results aren't great. We're going to maybe limp into an 8-9 spot. Need to turn on some wins if we want to get into a real playoff spot, those 7 and aboves. I mentioned a couple weeks ago that my nightmare scenario is having to go to San Jose, having to go to San Jose as the 9 and play again in the play-in game. And that's looking more and more likely. So I need to string some results together, but for the most part, like, just play better, guys. You were looking good for a while, and I don't really know what to do at this point. So a poor weekend in French Canada, but it's one game. Let's put this set of 3 behind us. There's no Copa Tejas. Let's reset. We've got another, month. We'll be missing some players for the international break against Sporting Kansas City. But, let's get some results. We probably only need I don't know, 3 wins and we're in the, a decent playoff spot. But those games are kind of, the games played games left on our schedule aren't exactly numerous at this point. We do still have a couple tough ones, but Just get the job done. Stop making our jobs hard. We would like this to be fun. So, yeah, coming up, I'll drop the clips from Seth and Brad, and then we'll go ahead and sign out. Thanks. Bye.
Bonjour from Montreal. It's a little after midnight here, where I just had the pleasure, we'll go with that, of watching Austin FC lose 3-2 to CF Montreal in a match that, frankly, we shouldn't have lost. But that has become the norm in this month of August with Nico Esteves' teams. 3 matches that had 9 very gettable points, and we only got 2 from them. But you know what? I'm sure Brad and Scott and Devin and the rest of the crew are going to talk a lot about the match. I'm going to talk about what it's been like to be up here in Quebec over the last few days. So, first of all, coming up to Montreal in late August is fantastic. This city has music festivals going on, art festivals going on. There's so much happening here, and the weather has been lovely. It's been as warm as the low 80s, but mostly in the 70s, low humidity. The food is great. The people are nice. Yeah, they might snarl a little bit when you speak at them in English, but for the most part, they know enough English to get by, or my measly French, or sometimes even my decent Spanish will help us get by in this world. Thursday night, I did something that we have talked about a lot on the podcast, and I went and saw with about 10 other Verdes to go see the Montreal Alouettes play the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the Canadian Football League over at the Molson Stadium. The Molson Stadium is a really cool venue because it is the home to McGill University, and it is sort of like the Fenway Park, Wrigley Field of the CFL, because it was not built as a purpose-built CFL stadium. Some of the buildings are literally part of campus buildings. Like entering the stadium, you think you're going through a tunnel, but you're really just like passing through a building to get into the concourse. It's a very cool venue. It's the second time I've been to a CFL game live. A couple years ago, I did see the Toronto Argonauts beat the BC Lions. But in this one, it was the visiting Winnipeg Blue Bombers that had no problem running the ball all over the Montreal Alouettes to get a 26-13 win. Sadly, there were no rouges in this game, but I guess that happens sometimes. We had a very normal CFL game. It was a fairly normal CFL week outside of the Argos putting up 52 on BC earlier today. So it's been an interesting time over in the CFL. But overall, if you get a chance to come up here to Montreal, highly recommend it, whether or not Austin FC is playing. We end up spending some time with 1642, which is one of the supporter groups at CF Montreal. As you probably watched the match, you noticed that there were supporters behind both goals. Many of the ultras that are behind the other goal from where we scored in the second half, that they've been banned from the league at this point, so that their section had a lot of empty seats. 1642, which is on the side that was closer to us and where we tailgated with them before, they have the bell that unfortunately we heard go off 4 times in this match, because 3 goals and the victory bell went off for them because they got all 3 points out of this match and stayed technically alive. So they starved off elimination so they can possibly have that fate occur to them when they play Toronto next weekend. Tailgating scene is fantastic. That our friends at 1642, $2.50 hot dogs, $3 grilled cheese, and that's Canadian dollars, so you get to like cut a third off the price there. $5 craft beers. We hung out with them for 2 hours. Just absolutely lovely people hanging out under the shade. 5-minute walk from the stadium. It's a really nice setup. We obviously only get this away. It's only the second time in 5 years we've gotten this away day, and that's more than we've gone to most venues in the East. But the next time you see Austin FC play up in Montreal, I would highly recommend coming out. Or even if you're just in Montreal or Quebec, highly recommend a trip up here. We have eaten so well, whether it's been poutine, whether it's smoked meats, bagels, Haitian food, because Montreal has the second largest Haitian community outside of Haiti. That there's so much good food, great culture in the city. Highly recommend visiting it. Even if you don't know a lick of French, it's really not that necessary to get by up here. Quick format stuff here. Our stock rising is the tailgate crew at 1642, because no one really deserved a stock rising. I know Brad will probably give one to Izuni or someone else like that, but it is a point there that it really... That was a pretty disgraceful performance. And the stock falling there has to be, and we've harped on him a bunch there, Sabovich somehow getting 60 minutes when he should have been pulled at the half there. We've got Diego Rubio was invisible in this match. Like, there was just, like... you can't have a team that wins if you can't play the ball through the middle of the field. And outside of one Robert Taylor run in the second half, we didn't really play through the middle of the field. And I know we haven't been doing that much of the season. And it just gets really, really frustrating to watch day in and day out.
Montreal 3, Austin 2, and this is a continuation of, quite frankly, poor play and poor results from Austin over the last 3 weeks. This is a team that, if you go back to probably 4 or 5 weeks ago now, we were pointing to this stretch of the schedule where Austin needed to take advantage and rack up points in the table. And we didn't think it needed to be much. I think with 10 games to go, we said something like Austin needed around 11 or 12 points to probably make the playoffs and at least get some kind of a home game. It's still doable, but every one of these games that passes, that you're not picking up points that you really should be, you just make the climb harder. And you can see that we're backsliding down the table right now. I'm recording this before the entire night is over in MLS, so we won't have a full look at the Western Conference table. But this is a continuation of the same shit that Austin FC has done each of the last couple of years, where you get a little brief hope and you kind of talk yourself into something of maybe having a run in towards the end of the season and make a playoff, and then for whatever reason, this team goes backwards. 2 points out of a possible 9 against a combination of home games against Houston, Dallas, and on the road at Montreal is unacceptable. That should be unacceptable for any team in this league that plans on playing in the postseason. And we can't accept it. We as fans cannot be okay with it. We can't make excuses for it. We can't say, well, we're doing okay. No. These last 3 weeks have sucked. I don't care that there was some questionable refereeing in a match a week or two ago. I care that we're not overcoming that. I care that this team seemingly cannot pull away from teams that are worse than them on paper and will play down to the level of competition consistently. This is not good enough. You watched the game last night against Montreal and you saw effort, but it seemed like guys weren't clicking, didn't really know where to be. I thought Montreal playing the press the way they did and man marking kind of confused us a little bit, and we weren't fully ready to play that style of match. We kept trying to go over the top and weren't beating them over the top, which is a bit frustrating because that's something that has worked for us at times this year. Obviously, Savovic was awful in the midfield. For a guy who started the year with some promise and I thought did some really positive things early in the season, he has just regressed significantly during the last 2-3 months of the season here. And if he can't be the first sub off the bench, I don't think anymore for the midfield. We do that, and you're just, to me, asking for trouble. And I know we started him last night, and Nico has a loyalty to certain guys, and will just keep playing the same dudes over and over instead of trying different things, and it is biting us. His unwillingness to last night we finally played Dubasarski, and that's a guy who needs more minutes. I will bang the CJ Fojer drum. That's a guy that needs minutes. Like, we need to be in a youth movement at this point because this team's not going anywhere. Open Cup is still the only thing to play for. And I think unless if this team doesn't make Open Cup final at this point, after what we have seen happening in MLS for us right now, this is becoming a failure of a season. We are in a weak conference, and we cannot seem to get over the hump to just be a solid playoff team. And this is a year where you don't need to be spectacular to be a solid playoff team. You can be what we have on paper, should be 6th place in the conference. I'm not expecting top 4, but 6th is really not unreasonable with the team that we have. But nothing's clicking. I keep going back to this podcast and the folks on this podcast. We questioned the Nico hire from the beginning. It made no sense why we hired him as quickly as we did. It made no sense that we would go after the guy that Dallas fired for underperformance. And 2 things need to be concerned here to me. One, the question of Nico's job security needs to start happening, and that's pressure that needs to be real. And two, Rodolfo Borrell needs to sit up there and answer questions about this team, the roster build, why we have not addressed the 10 spot on the roster, and he needs to answer for why this team is underperforming. We didn't make any moves here in the window except transferring Moloko back overseas. It seems like nothing else that seemed like we were making moves except for Gam. Like, great, we got some Gam, but what are we doing with it? I think we are far enough into the Rodolfo Borrell era of being an sporting director that we can start questioning, like, is this actually good? Is this what we want? I think he's done some decent things. Selling Driussi for $10 million is a coup. But at the same time, there's too many misses on the field right now. And yes, the Brandon Vasquez injury is something you can't predict, and it has hurt this team, I believe, a ton. But we still have enough firepower to score, and we're starting to score a little more. But this team is just not right, and it's pretty obvious to me that we need a 10. And the fact that we didn't address that in the window at all is crazy concerning to me. I'm not going to talk too much about just the Montreal game because I think there's overarching themes that need to be talked about here more so than just the individual game, because to me the individual game is a symptom of the other stuff that we have seen. Stock up for me was Mirto Zuni for the game, though. I thought he ran his ass off. I love that little touch pass into Owen on Owen's goal. Zuni played pretty well last night. Stock down is, I hate on it already, but it's Rodolfo Borrell. There are real questions that need to be asked about what are you doing here, man? What are we trying to build, and what are you building, and how are you doing it? Because it's not, you got a 1,000-piece puzzle, and it sure looks like major chunks are missing from the box. And I'm not seeing how it's going to get put together. Moment of suffering. Well, I say this as our vacation ends here, and by the time you listen to this, we'll be back in Austin. But my wife and I are at the beautiful Lake Michigan and was watching the sunset as the game was ending, or as the game was going on. And once the sunset ended, I actually had to fully pay attention to the game and watch that mess. So, unfortunate. But, sunset was great at least. That's what I got. Another brutal week. On the bright side, we have San Jose coming in next week, which is a massive match in MLS play for us when you talk about seeding for playoffs, and if you even make the playoff. I think San Jose is going to want some revenge from Open Cup. That game got real spicy, don't forget. So big match coming up Saturday night. I'm very curious to see what attendance looks like because don't forget, next Saturday is also opening day for college football. Yes, I know Texas plays early, but Austin is not just a city of Texas Longhorn fans. There's a bunch of other people who watch other teams and have other priorities. And so along with Labor Day weekend, I'm very curious to see what ticket prices will be and what attendance actually will be in the stadium on Saturday night for the San Jose match. I could see it being one of the lowest ones in the history of this club. That's what I got. Thanks for listening again, suffering with us, y'all, and we'll talk soon.
Promise here for Austin Jared Stroud. It's Diego for goodness! He has written his name into Austin folklore.
They just won't go away.
Oh, he hits the upright again! That's impossible!
The Bears' season's going to end on a double doink.
Altidore squares it. Dempsey's missed it. Donovan has it. From hope, there is glory.